we're live.
Good morning. This is the July 11th, 2024 meeting of the Allegheny County Industrial Development Agency. I call the meeting to order. Around the table today are Judy Hopkins, Chair, Randy, I want to say Randy Sparks. I'm thinking music. Randy Shaler, our Vice President, and John, our legislative member. Thank you. Okay, the first order of business is to approve the board minutes of June 13th. In a minute, we'll take a look at those. We will entertain a motion at your pleasure. Want to say thank you again to Barb for doing such a great job on the minutes.
You're welcome.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Second.
Second, John, thank you. Any questions about it? Actually, I do. I have on the page, it's under new business. And had it marked on my one at home, but okay. If you look down at the end of the first paragraph, it says, if possible, the board would like as much local labor and materials to be used, period. I'd like to see a little bit more forceful statement there. I think we had quite a bit of discussion about that with the people, and I think maybe something to the effect of the board, more than wishes, the board expects the proper majority of the proper percentage of local labor to be used in the project. I don't have it worded well, but any thoughts on that? If you disagree, that's fine too.
Where is it again?
It is, it's on page,
The second page, right?
yeah, the second page, under new business, at the end of the first paragraph.
Okay.
It says, if possible, the board would like as much local labor and materials be used. And then the next sentence is, materials are market-based.
Well, the only thing they are obligated to do is what's they've signed off on, which is to use 90% local labor.
I just.
That we can put in there. We can't put anything else in there because there's
That's
nothing
fine.
else contractual they have to do.
That's what I'm looking for, is a number that, and we might even say that a list of local businesses has been prepared
And send to them.
and sent to them. Yeah. How's that?
How about proof that they used them?
We do. No, we have them sign out just like the last one. They have to sign back in, but it's not local companies, it's local labor.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a difference, I'm just saying.
What do you think, Randy?
Yeah, I agree. And, something along the lines of we intend to enforce or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
We reemphasize that we will enforce.
Yeah. It is more than just doing a favor for us. It's part of the contract. Barb, do you have some suggestions on wording you've been writing there? I'm guessing you're putting something together.
I just put we intend to enforce right now.
Okay.
I would just say we will assure that we enforce the local labor requirements and leave it at that. Because it's really clear, because it's in the contract they signed.
That's good. Thank you.
That just makes it simple and easy.
Okay. Okay.
And I've talked to them, they're fine, they understand.
Do we need to actually vote on the change?
No.
Okay. Okay. So then, the motion, would you accept for your motion that with the change that we've decided
amended,
on?
I move we accept with the change.
Okay,
Second.
John? Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else in the minutes? Okay, we are ready to go to, we've actually approved them, so we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Take a look at that. Are you ready to accept a motion? When you all are.
I'll move.
Thank you. Moved by
Second.
John Ricky, second by Randy. Okay. Any questions about it? If not, we'll vote for acceptance. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that is passed. Looking at the banking and financial summary now. Any questions about that? No, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to accept.
Thank you, John. John Ricky.
Second.
Second, Randy Sheeler. We're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's passed. Thank you. Okay, Craig, do you want to discuss the third bullet?
Yeah, I'll discuss
review
the third
longer?
thing. After the last meeting, I brought up the potential of using some of our funds.
Mhm.
And Rich noted that we should probably look at other options, and Doug and I have looked at the best option at this time is to probably pay off the Crossroads mortgage. It's $125,927. And we have more than enough funds to be able to do that. Would not be ready to pay off the other mortgage at this stage. Hello?
Do you have that total that you just read off? I couldn't catch it, 127,000. What?
No, I'm
Yeah,
already
it's
got that.
125, something like that.
Yeah, it's on one of
Slots
these.
from where?
Yeah, one of
I
the-
just
Sorry,
saw it.
that was Rich. He's gonna go ahead and come on Teams.
Okay. And what was the total of the mortgage off?
As I mentioned, it's on
127.
127 and some
Okay.
change. It's on your balance sheet report towards the bottom, 125,927.99.
Just what you have.
And currently, we have access through the different funds, more than adequate funds to pay off that mortgage.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that, Anders?
I know that's Doug's recommendation, as long with myself, so it makes sense.
And what are the advantages of that? Well,
That one's actually, the other one isn't a too bad a rate, but that one's about, I think it's about 6% interest rate, so it's a fairly high rate. And we have the funds, there's no reason to try to invest it, because only we invest in a CD and it wouldn't make as much money as you would paying off the mortgage.
do you have any idea on how much interest we would save by paying it off? I know, recently, we had occasion to do that, and I was astounded at the amount of interest we saved by paying a mortgage
Right.
off.
And our auditors mentioned they thought that'd be a good idea
Yes.
too.
Who holds that mortgage, Craig? Do you know?
Community bank.
Community?
Community holds all of our mortgages. Rich, are you there?
Morning, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
morning, everybody.
Hi, Rich.
Sorry, I'm a little late.
We're just discussing paying off the Crossroads mortgage of $125,927, which was recommended by Doug and myself once we reviewed everything.
And the, and CPL as well. Not CPL, excuse me, the audit,
BWB, yeah.
yeah, all these initials.
Any comments on that? I mean, that's the best use of the funds at this time, I think, than trying to do anything else.
Rich, anything?
Just in the past, we said we wanted to keep you know, I always wanted to pay off the mortgage. That's just how I am.
Mhm.
But then somebody said, well, we should keep it and use it for economic development, but we have other money for that. There's going to be other money coming in from fees. So I don't have strong feelings either way.
Well, we have enough funds. I think that's the most prudent thing to do at this time.
Okay. Let's take a motion on that. We can have any other further questions. Would someone move that we, pay off the,
The crossroads.
I move to do pay off the Crossroads mortgage.
okay, thank you, John.
I second.
Okay. Seconded by Randy. Any other comments on it? I think it's a good idea too.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll take a vote then. Does this need to be,
No.
no, okay. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay, no opposed, that is passed, thank you.
And although Doug's not here, he's the one who submitted it, so the full board endorses it.
Okay. Okay, do you want to skip the the building maintenance report and go right to the wind project?
Yeah, we have someone representing Inver Energy in the room, and we're going to have him discuss the Alley Cat Wind project since he's here. Is that okay, Rich?
Sure, do you
Sounds
want to
great,
move
thanks.
up to the table so you can be heard well?
Yeah, sure.
And this is being broadcast, as you know, so it's public.
Absolutely.
And just introduce yourself when you get there.
And you're under the part of there's some business of setting up a public hearing. And so if you could just explain in more detail where you are and why we need a public hearing. I've already sent the numbers to the board members, but okay.
Certainly. So my name is Sean Perry. I'm a project developer for Inver Energy for the Alley Cat Wind project. Just as a reminder, the project's been in development since 2016, spanning 3 counties, Allegheny, Cattaraugus, and Wyoming County, across 5 towns, not including the town of Yorkshire for our transmission line where we interconnect to the grid. So this is a 340 megawatt project. Up to 83 turbines have been fully permitted by the Department of Public Service in the state of New York. There will be up to 76 turbines built in order to achieve 340 megawatt capacity. So where we are in the process right now, we've received our construction certificate for the wind farm and the transmission facility itself. We had to amend our permit last year in 2023 in order to accommodate some turbine shifts, some access road shifts, and buried collection line shifts. And that amended permit has been certificated as of November 2023. So where we are in the process right now is submitting compliance filings to the state to ensure that we can remain in compliance with our certificate, as well as all the regulations that we're under from DOT, DEC, Fish and Wildlife, and ensure that, you know, we're producing or we're constructing a wind farm that meets the standards set forth by the federal government and the state of New York. So the project right now, we've achieved our limited notice to proceed on the O&M building that's in the town of Freedom. So we're on site right now, starting site preparation for that building. We're expecting that we'll be able to clear trees from November to March. That is the DEC tree clearing window. And we'll achieve full NTP on the site in April of 2025. From there, it's about a 2-year construction window from spring of 2025 until completion of the project in December of 2026. And partially why we're here today is because the board had previously approved a pilot resolution for Alley Cat. I believe it was in 2020.
It's in 2020, we looked it up. I didn't realize it was quite that long ago, but
Yep.
yes, it was.
It shows how long the project's been going on, but we were anticipating being under construction much sooner than we are, but you know, due to the pandemic and other economic issues faced, it's pretty considerable delay. But we're confident that this is the year that the project is going to move forward. So we've faced a number of cost increases, not just in Allegheny County, but Cattaraugus, Wyoming County as well. We have a signed pilot in Wyoming County, so we'll be going back to that board for additional tax abatements for increased costs there.
Same thing that we're doing, right?
And Cattaraugus County, we've been in communication with the executive director, IDA council, and we've submitted a pilot application there, and we anticipate that to be on their next IDA board meeting agenda. So we have some positive progress there in Cat County. And coming back to you guys just to share our cost increases, our CapEx has gone up considerably, and our taxable spend has as well from 2020.
Are we in a different situation than Cat County from this area? If I understood you correctly, they never did the initial pilot, but we did?
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
Yep. So Cat County never did the initial pilot. In Allegheny County, with that initial pilot, the real property abatement is going to remain the same. We have host community agreements that are signed with the towns of Centerville and Rushford. Those are full in effect, and the dollar per megawatt cost for the pilot will remain the same as well. What we're coming back is with an additional ask for sales tax abatement and mortgage recording tax abatement. Because our construction loan for the project has gone up considerably, we'll need additional mortgage recording tax abatement, and our construction costs will incur additional sales tax.
So that's why we have to have another public hearing, because what we approved was much smaller amounts of financial benefit than this one. So now the costs have gone up so much, we have to actually do another public hearing to make sure the public knows what those different benefits are going to be.
So it's the 414 million just in Allegheny County.
That's right.
Got more in the other two counties too.
Yep.
And were the 83 turbines that you mentioned, are they just in Allegheny County, or is that the total?
That is the total. So total in Allegheny County will be 28 turbines.
20. Just making note of that.
I had a question, this is Rich. So the construction cost has increased a lot.
Mhm.
And then the agreements with the municipalities, the taxing authorities, whatever the proper terminology is, that has stayed the same. That's gonna stay the same.
That's correct. So we've got host community agreements for dollar figure is $5,950 per megawatt of capacity that's within the town. And then the town also gets a percentage of the pilot numbers, which is $5,000 per megawatt. And those are broken up, I believe, by the millage rates of
Correct.
each taxing municipality.
Right.
Sean, do you?
So is the, oh, sorry.
No,
Go
go ahead. Go finish, Rich. Go ahead.
Okay, so the construction cost is impacted by inflation and other, I don't know exactly what's causing that huge construction cost change.
Mhm.
But why isn't the amount that the towns are gonna get per megawatt, I guess, and why hasn't that increased?
So that hasn't increased because, I mean, when we signed those were among the most generous host community agreements in the state of New York for wind projects. It hasn't increased because the taxing regime has been not kind of put on its head, but since 2020, New York State has passed a new law. I think it's real property tax 575B, as an appraisal methodology to tax wind and solar farms. That dollar figure is roughly the same as the economic benefit that the towns would receive under these host community agreements. The difference is under that taxing methodology, most of the dollars would be sent to other taxing jurisdictions, county, state, and school districts. Whereas under the pilot and host community agreements, the towns themselves would receive the majority of those dollars. So that's kind of why we've kept that in place, and not changing the real property abatement. We'll keep that in place, but it doesn't make sense for AlleyCat financially to increase that, where we have the option of going through, excuse me, the taxing jurisdiction from the state and giving roughly equal dollars. It is a benefit to Alley Cat to have the real property abatement because it's easier to finance the project. And it's considerable consistent revenue for the towns, whereas and there is a 2% escalator on those dollars per year. Under the New York State tax methodology, the company is able to write off the depreciation of the asset as the wind farm ages. So those tax dollars actually decrease over the life of the project. So it's preferable for us to keep this in place, both for the company's perspective and for the town's perspective. And they can receive the most dollars.
Okay, great. That was a great explanation. Thank you.
No problem.
So do you have the figures, Sean, of what the towns will be receiving in dollar amounts?
I don't have that in front of me right now, but I can certainly get that to you.
Okay.
Regarding
I'm just
what,
curious.
Judy?
What they're going to be gaining into their budgets, basically.
I believe in Centerville, off the top of my head, it would start around $800,000 a year, and in Rushford would be about $200,000. But I
That's fine.
don't want to say those are
It all based,
accurate.
it's
Right?
based upon how many,
That's significant.
it's, I knew a total was about $1 million a year between the two of them.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And so the number of the turbines would be proportional according to that in those two
Right.
townships.
That's why I said you
Exactly.
can't tell exactly, but I knew it was about $1 million they were sharing.
And our layout is as final as it has been since the start of this project. There are a couple turbine sites that need to be de-risked. If there are additional turbines, we do have a number of alternate sites in the towns of Rushford and Centerville that could be pulled in. So those costs could go up for either of those towns.
Mhm. Approximately how many landowners are you working with in Allegheny County?
In Allegheny County, I would say, so in total, we have about 350 landowners of various, sizes of the project. Some have, several turbines on their property, some of the larger farmers and landowners. Some are signed to good neighbor agreements, setback agreements. We have over 350 landowners signed. Allegheny County is about 37% of the project. So I would say over 100 landowners in Allegheny County.
Excellent, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, other questions?
The numbers that you quoted were for the towns, and you talked about the millage rates. I didn't catch everything you said, but are the schools in the county participating?
Part of,
in this
it's the
also?
other 5,000. Yeah.
Yep. So that $5,000 per megawatt,
Right,
that gets split up between the towns, county, and school district. And those are based on the millage rates of the taxing jurisdictions themselves. So I don't know the numbers for Centerville and Rushford, but I can say, because we went through this exercise in Cat County, because we weren't sure if we were going to get a pilot there, based on the differences in tax rates between Freedom and Farmersville, Farmersville would receive 25% of dollars from that pool of pilot funds, and Freedom would receive closer to 10 or 15%. So it just depends on the tax rates of the towns
Yeah,
themselves.
we'll get a revised number. We had a whole spreadsheet based upon before, but we can do that again. But yeah, because the millage rates probably have changed some, but it's similar to what you said. I think most of the towns would be in that 10 to 15% range, and the school district gets the biggest share of it.
And once we lock in our layout, we can confirm that each town will have a certain number of turbines. We can give accurate numbers as to first year of operations.
And which school district, because there's different school districts in that whole big area, obviously.
Yep.
when you say the first year of operation, the only change between the first and second year would be the escalator, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I believe that is, if memory serves, 2% on host community agreements and 1% on the pilot.
That sounds right.
So, as I mentioned before you came up to the table, I'm curious about the difficulties that you had in Cattaraugus County, and we don't need to go into it deeply, but perhaps you could just explain any changes that you made or how you maneuvered in that situation.
Certainly. Yeah, I think, so we had, when this project was under development and we were going through kind of the middle stages where we were looking for a permit from the state of New York, and we were signing land, kind of working through what a final layout would look like. We ran into opposition for the project that was pretty centralized in Cattaraugus County. The Cat County Legislature passed a resolution to deny pilots to large-scale wind projects without consent of the county legislature. And we've maintained some good relationships with Cat County officials through this time. I think the big change has been the state appraisal methodology. And with that, having a pilot or not having a pilot in Cat County was not the be-all end-all of having this project move forward. And looking at the economic numbers of benefits to the town, the overwhelming majority of benefit is under a host community and pilot agreement. And that's what we wanted, since we started the project. That's what we signed our host community agreements with the towns of Freed and Farmersville with. So the towns have been expecting that money and been counting on that revenue to come to their municipalities. But again, under the tax methodology, those dollars are broken up based on standard taxation rates, and the towns would receive a smaller portion of that overall bucket of economic benefit. So that has been the big shift where, okay, this isn't not getting a pilot isn't a backstop to kill the project. What is the best for the towns? And what's best for the towns is also best for the company, because we're able to easily model that economic benefit that goes out on a yearly basis over the life of the project. Whereas under the tax methodology, it's changed numerous times since its inception in 2022. I think the first one came out. So with that changing, it's difficult for us to accurately forecast what the taxes are going to be. And again, those taxes do go down over the life of the project with depreciation. So it is the best case scenario for the towns to have the pilot agreement there. And I think both the IDA and the county legislature have come around to that fact and are willing to work with us in order to get a deal done.
We had a short discussion about using local labor as we discussed the minutes. And perhaps you could give us a preview of what kind of local labor you've been able to start working with or projected.
So we have contracted the Weston Group out of Johnstown, New York, as our BOP contractor, essentially our general contractor to build the wind farm. And we've contracted with O'Connell Electric Group out of Rochester to build the substation, point of interconnection switchyard, and transmission line. These are New York State companies, and they have relationships with local contractors and local unions that they've been working with in the past. Weston Group built the #3 wind farm for Invenergy, and they just got done building the Barron wind farm in, I believe, Dansville, Cohocton area.
Okay.
These guys are very friendly to local labor, and they have relationships with, again, local contractors and unions. Invenergy as a company, we try to work with local labor and local companies as much as possible. They have had some issues with procuring local labor with other big projects going around right now, one of which being the new Bill Stadium. There's a number of unions that are working on that project. So the numbers that we've been able to secure from them have been lower than expected. But that is a question that I had for the board was, what counties, what townships is considered local labor? And we want to make sure that our contractor is.
I can give you a full list, but it's basically all of Western New York and part of Central New York.
Okay.
It's pretty broad. Because we know we'd like to have as many as possible from Allegheny County, but obviously it's a small county.
Yeah.
we're not trying to say that you can get them all from Allegheny County, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I get you the full list.
Correct, there is a local labor requirement, and
Right.
that's already been spelled out ahead of time, correct?
Yeah, but it's in there, I'll just resend it to them, yes, it has all the counties.
Okay.
So I don't anticipate that, all Western New York, we'd be able to not get a number of, local companies in order to get laborers on site.
What the board is very sensitive to is we've had at least one solar project where they brought a company in from Texas and didn't use any local labor, just so you know.
Yep.
That's why we're a little particular about it.
But I'm just being honest about it. That's what happened.
Certainly, yeah.
So the local labor would end up working for subcontractors, it sounds like, in
Yes.
the project.
So a number of the, construction management is, while they're all in state, Johnstown is what I would presume is out of the,
They probably are.
yeah. And then some of the technicians from original equipment manufacturers for the turbines themselves will be from out of state. But, we want to hire as locally as possible. And it also cuts down on construction costs to have folks from the community working on the project as well.
Do you, as the project owner, have you established a process whereby you're approving the subcontractors or influencing the selection of subcontractors?
So that's written into our BOP contract with the Weston Group that they're to hire as much local labor as possible. If there's a situation where they can't, they're to provide us with rationale as to why they can't hire locally for whatever scope that they may be working on. And I think that for reporting to the IDA, we would want to show that we make as much reasonable effort to hire locally as possible. In terms of a process by which we vet that out, we have that in our contract with the Weston Group. In terms of our influence over their selection to say, work with this union versus this union or this company, it's a lot more on the contractor themselves to say, okay, we received a bid, this came in lower, and bring that up to us to say, all right, what do we want to do in this situation where perhaps there's an out-of-state contractor that, gave the best price, but there's a local contractor that could also do it. That would have to be a decision that would be made by the project management team.
I'll send you a copy of the quarterly reports that we're going to ask for as well. I think the biggest issue with the board is to make sure we keep informed, because that's what happened with the one that kind of blew up. We didn't know that nobody told us what was going on until it was completed.
Yeah. And so these quarterly reports, sorry, Rich.
I'm sorry, go ahead. You finish.
I was just going to say that these quarterly reports, we can submit to the IDA.
Yeah, and then the board will see a
Construction.
copy of those as well, yeah.
Well,
Gotcha.
in addition to labor, I know that I personally, and I think my thoughts are shared by some members of the board, local companies have back office people that don't go on the payroll for this specific job. But they keep some number of accounts payable clerks working, some number of other administrative people, as well as the advantage we have of the success of the owner or executives so we would appreciate any effort you can make to ensure that local employers are included.
Which makes it easier on getting a local labor. There's no
That's all
doubt.
they have for the
Yeah,
most part.
that's it right there.
No, we understand
They're
that.
going to the local.
Certainly. And, I think that for the main BOP contract, one of the biggest expenditures is gravel and aggregate. And we've been in contact with numerous local gravel suppliers in Cat County and Allegheny County who have submitted bids on the project. A number of which are landowners of the project. But I don't anticipate that. I mean, for most of the project, we should have an issue with finding local companies, especially if the local labor requirement is all Western New York and parts of Central New York. It shouldn't be a hassle.
Question, that brings up an interesting, triggered a question on my part. When we evaluate local labor, we do it based on man hours, right?
Yeah, I believe that's what they
Not
report.
amount of the not dollar amount of the contract.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do you have anything
I
else,
was just
Rich?
gonna ask Craig to go, yeah, I was just gonna ask Craig, can you just go over, Craig, what the taxing authority's recourse is if the local labor is not met?
Well, it's up to the IDA board to deal with that, and we've had two different issues where that has happened, and we've negotiated, and typically both of them got back to the local, again, this would be the county and or the townships that would be affected, and basically, there were some penalties that we did put in place.
In terms of penalties,
Okay, thank you.
is that fines or is that clawback of tax
We
abatement?
could actually claw back, but we didn't go that way. We
Gotcha.
went to the way with fines.
Gotcha.
So we would negotiate those. I mean, we did those in two different cases already. We don't want to do that. Is what, I think that's what Rich is getting at. There is you could actually do clawback, yes.
Yeah.
But that would be our last alternative.
Okay, any other questions for Sean? Okay, Sean, you've been very helpful in really giving us some complete answers.
Do you have a card, Sean?
I
Or-
believe I do.
Okay,
Maybe you could.
I can get you my card.
Maybe you could take a picture of that and send it out to the board members. So as we vote, we'll have you stay for the vote, Sean.
Okay.
We will be looking for a motion to accept the public hearing resolution of Alley Cat Wind Energy LLC project. And I would look to the board for a proposal of that, please.
I'll move.
John Ricky.
Second.
Second. Randy Shaler, which is. Well, you are
My
Sparky.
new
We're
career.
just gonna call you Sparky, how's that? Okay, any other discussion on it? Okay, we're ready for the vote, and this is a roll call vote. So, Judy Hopkins, aye. Randy Shaler,
All right.
Rich Yule. Rich, thank you. Doug is absent, and John Ricky.
Aye.
Okay, that motion is passed.
And I'll get with you when we set up a meeting with the two different towns and the times and dates. It'll be sometime within the next month, okay?
Sounds good.
And thank you very much again for the discussion.
Absolutely. I appreciate the board having me and see you in touch.
Thanks for coming in, Sean.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
And I'll get you other information, but we'll correspond.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks
Hopefully,
all.
we'll see you again sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back quickly to the building maintenance report. Craig?
Sure. We've been having some off again and problems with keeping the chlorine at the right level. I told you we had to buy a new pump. We had some problems with the other pump. Well, by having, sometimes the rate is too high, and then the chlorine isn't all taken out by we have a filter, carbon charcoal filter that takes it out, because once it gets into the medium, I didn't realize this, it breaks the medium down, it's taking the arsenic out. So we've had some cloudy water because some of the medium has been broken down. Ben's been here a couple times. He's in the process of fixing it. Once he fixes it, he'll have to probably replace one of the tanks with medium. But he doesn't know yet for sure until he gets it clarified that it's actually keeping the chlorine level at the right rate. It's supposed to be about 1 part per million. It's got as high as 2, and somehow it's having trouble getting the charcoal filter taking that back out. So he's been here a couple times. He's come back, and in the process, we also found out that one of our jet pumps is gone, which isn't real expensive, but $1,000. It pressurizes the system, so we'll have some costs coming up. I don't know what it is yet by the next
You
meeting.
mean it's just not working?
Yeah, we have 2 pumps.
Nobody stole it or?
One's a backup pump, and it's working. You can work fine with 1 pump, but then if it goes down, you don't have any pressure, so we want 2 pumps. So you're going to replace the 1 pump. It's about $1,000.
Have you had to import some drinking water for?
No,
people?
it's fine. I mean, it's just that it's cloudy looking. And actually, when any of the drinking water goes through another filter, so it gets filtered out, all of the medium.
Okay.
I just, if you go into the bathrooms, you'll see a very cloudy looking water. So,
Any questions? from the board?
other than that, as you can notice, it's warm in here, but
Yeah.
that's why I closed the door.
Keep the heat in.
Yeah. I gotta get an air conditioner in this one year if I don't have one.
Okay, and the fan's probably pretty loud with,
Yeah.
with our sound system. Okay, nothing to vote on there.
No,
Okay,
just information, just letting you know.
all right, great. Let's move on then to the resolution for the seeker for Brawler's Corners Solar. This is a negative declaration.
Right. We've had a couple of, DEC and et cetera have sent in some letters, but there's nothing that's impacted our negative declaration. So, and we have a resolution that basically says that we're accepting the seeker as a negative declaration.
Okay, any questions? Great. Okay, we need a proposal, actually, we need a motion to accept this seeker resolution for Brawler's Corners.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Sharon. This is a roll call vote. Any other questions before we vote? Okay, Judy Hopkins, aye. Randy Shaler,
All right.
Rich Yule,
Aye.
Doug Frank is absent, and John Ricky.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That motion is approved. Okay, the next thing we have.
It's a pilot deviation. The only deviation is we're giving them a longer pilot. It's a 25-year pilot, so it's just extending it.
And why are we doing the 25?
They requested 25. In fact, almost all the last ones have been 20 to 25. It's to the benefit for both us and the communities, because that way, as you mentioned, the new law has changed such that there is, if you go through the new system, they can depreciate the equipment as it gets older, and the taxing would actually go down. So having a 25-year pilot is the benefit to us and the host agreement.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. We need a motion. Rich, how about you? Oh,
So moved.
okay, John will second that. And this one is, I'm looking for my paperwork, the right one. Is this a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is the one. We have a few for Brawler's Corners here, so. Okay, in voting, Judy Hopkins is aye. Randy Shaler,
All right.
thank you. Rich Yule,
Aye.
thank you. Doug Frank is absent. John Ricky,
No,
no? Okay,
I won't be alive in 25 years. I just can't see. I want to be around. See the results. I'm sorry.
okay, the vote then is 3, voting aye, 1 voting no, and 1 absent. Okay, thank you. That motion is passed. Okay, we're now looking at the approving the resolutions agency, Brawler's Corners Solar Project. The town has a host agreement and will report on the public meeting.
Yeah, as I said, I had the public meeting on Monday night. Most of the town board members were there. There were no comments at the meeting. They're all in favor of it. They have a host agreement that's been agreed upon. and they will send me a copy of the host agreement. So they're in favor of moving forward with this Brawler's Corner project.
Okay. Questions? Need a motion? John, would you like to make the
I'll move
motion? Okay, thank you. Second?
Second,
Thank you, Rich.
Rich.
Okay, any other questions about it? Okay, looking again, is this this is
Yes.
a roll call. Okay, Judy Hopkins votes aye. Randy Shaler,
Aye.
Rich Yule,
Aye.
Doug Frank is absent. John Ricky?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, onward. Resolution for the public hearing on the revised Alley Cat Wind application, we have done that.
Mhm.
On to old business.
Can I interject here? Si?
Sure,
Sure.
I have to leave early, I have
Sure.
another meeting.
Okay.
Is there anything for executive session?
We probably ought to go into executive session so you
okay,
can have a
let's do that.
discussion.
Move that, John.
I'm moving on to executive session.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We are It seems like we just got done that. We just got done that when I was there shortly.
So just so you know, Rich, Oakley entered the room as well.
Hello, Oakley.
Good morning.
He has nothing else to do but listen to us jabber.
That's exactly right.
Okay, we do have some items to finish up here, on our IDA agenda. So we'll do that. Old business, that's where we are, I believe.
Yes, the Friendship property sale, they are still working with their lawyers. Our lawyers do not have anything to review yet. Even though they've had all their documents, they're still reviewing the documents. So hopefully by next board meeting, we'll have something taken care of.
Okay. Allegheny County LDC.
I sent the board the final bylaws, which I think are all approved and ready to go. I was talking to our lawyer, and he's suggesting that to make sure that it goes through the State Department, that we get the Allegheny County to make it a resolution to officially approve forming the LDC. He's saying that right now it's a new, it's happened in the last 3 or 4 years, but now when LDCs are formed, if they're formed outside of the county, they sometimes won't accept them unless the county actually has a resolution approving forming that LDC. And we've talked to the county, I'm sure they'll find, he will get me a resolution that the board should be able to pass shortly. So hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll have action taken.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Next one, Allegheny County Strategic Plan, Economic Development / EDO. I know there is a meeting this afternoon.
Right.
And anything else you want to?
No, they're looking at bylaws, and I know Ashley's been active talking to the community members as well as some of the companies. So Ashley Smith is doing work, but she does not yet have bylaws to form a public entity yet. They will be.
Okay. Okay, so once that committee votes on those, the legislature will still have to pass it.
Right, correct.
Okay. Okay, anything else on that? Any questions about the EDO?
We'll make sure we get Ashley into the next meeting. So you all be
That's
here.
good, yeah. Craig and I will both be there. Okay, CDO, or excuse me, we have so many initials. We need a
Deck
dictionary.
of cards, yeah.
CBDG, microenergy grant.
The
Okay.
report from Mike is that, and we just got draw 5, we just cut another check. There are 5 companies that have now processed information so that Mike can get their payments, and we've distributed about $130,000. The other ones are all working with Mike. The 2 that we need to contact are PMAC Welding, which I will, and the Glass Laboratories. Those 2 have not been as active as they should. So everyone else he feels is moving and working towards resolution of getting their funds.
What is the deadline on their funds?
I believe it's the end of this year, but we can always get an extension.
Okay,
That's an easy one.
okay. All right, Gateway Center.
They continue to work on that. Last I heard, the road is supposed to be starting sometime this summer out there. And I've talked to Tom and making sure that we will be at the next meeting that talks about the actual water part of the project.
Good. He's been going to start for quite a while now.
Well, they had some problems with getting the seeker finished as well as working the DEC.
All right, clean energy projects, Wellsville and Burns.
Well, we've also basically the Wellsville project is like most of these projects in Burns, they're delayed because of 2 things, and Dan has verified this. One is the financial side and getting all their financial packages together, and also working with the state. Burns said they'll probably be within the next 30 to 60 days, hopefully to start finally. They're ready to start about last meeting, but then they got delayed because of finances. And I think Wellsville's at that same stage, but I have not contacted Augusta Solo. I know Brawlers appears to be moving, but it may be the same thing. You know, it's taking, And I talked to another IDA director yesterday. He's got some projects that are backlogged about 3 years because of finances. We only have the one backlog that wrong, and that's Alley Cap Wind. Everything else was been approved within the last year, so we're pretty good, actually.
Sounds good. Great Lakes Cheese.
We still have a company that Kathy Young's working with, and I know Ashley's also talking to a developer who might be interested in that facility out there. So keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we'll look forward to hearing more about that. We're on to new business now, the EPA grant.
Yeah, the EPA grant, I let you know before we were actually notified that we were one of the awardees, but I'm finding out the process to get it started will take a number of things. One, we have to have a more detailed accounting policy, which we're reviewing with BWB, Barb, as well as with Doug. Once that's ready to get to the board, I'll get to the board to approve it. And then we also have a work plan we have to work on, and I'm working on that. When it's ready to be approved, I'll bring both to the board before we get going. We have to have a work plan and some policies in place before we get the grant. The earliest we get the grant is September or October. So, and what the grant is, to clarify, we'll be identifying brownfields in the county, working primarily, but not only with Wellsville, because Wellsville probably has the potential for the most industry sites. And then once we identify them, we have funds in the grant that we can do the first phase 1, and phase 2s as well. So as long as we can convince the landowners that they want to do phase 1 and phase 2. So I think we'll be good. And then we'll find developers, hopefully develop some of that land. Because the reason to know where your brownfields are, because there's brownfield tax credits that developers are looking for.
How long will that take to get that information, you think?
The first phase will probably be done in a year, 6 months to a year, the location of them.
That's good. Okay.
And I'll put this under ongoing business from now on. It's just new business. We hadn't officially discussed it.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions about any of those things? Good of the order is the last.
Well, the last one is the request of the pilot payment for Cuba Solar project.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, Cuba Solar project, which is Neuer project, has requested that we review them paying a pilot because they were billed in January and the project has not started yet. And I would think the best recommendation is talk to the taxing authorities as well as the county on that, because normally we would not bill for pilots unless the project is at least close to complete, and this time it wasn't even started. So I'll have more to report to the board at the next meeting. We'll put it under old business, unless there's any discussion at this stage.
Sounds good. Good. Okay, anything else?
Got anything, Randy?
Spring, no? We're good?
Got anything, Rich?
Good to the order or whatever?
No, I'm all set. Thank you for all your work on that.
Craig, I have a question.
Sure.
You and I had a conversation or email back and forth about the potential of someone applying for a pilot within the village of Wellsville.
I've not heard, I've heard no follow-up yet. I'm
Okay.
gonna follow up with him because I know it was regarding potential sales, but I haven't heard anything else from the lawyer since then. But if I find anything else, I'll let you know. I'm hoping it's still positive.
Okay, we haven't heard anything on the pizza shop.
That's what he was
That's
asking
what we're
about.
talking about, okay.
Yeah. I have no information to report this time.
All right, that's the end of our agenda. If no one has anything else to bring up, we'll look for a motion to adjourn. Randy, you're in the room.
So moved.
Thank you. Rich,
Second.
thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Rich, you gonna hang on?